Hi, welcome to Camp Happy Mail. I'm Maureen and I'm glad that you're here today. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a three-part video on the reverse emboss blackout technique using 3D embossing folders. There are all kinds of 3D embossing folders on the market. This seems to be all the rage right now, as every embossing folder is 3D. But before these came out, a lot of us had the regular embossing folders. These ones are not as thick as the 3D ones and the impressions are not as deep. But I know we all have a bunch of those. I mean, the very first die cut machine that I had was a Cuttlebug, and it came with a couple of these. And I just have been wondering, will this technique work with these kind of embossing folders? Just in case, you know, people don't have the 3D ones. So today we're going to do a little bit of experimentation to see if they will work on the 3D embossing folders. And I have these two that I'm going to use. One is a swirls one. I don't actually know what the name of it is. There's not actually a name on it. And then one is snowflakes. I'm in the middle of making Christmas cards this month, and I thought it would be really cool to use the snowflake one and maybe even this one. So we're going to do this technique a little bit differently too, at least on the snowflake paper. I do want my snowflakes to be white. So what I'm going to attempt to do is, I'm not going to ink blend on this, but I am going to put ink on my embossing folder and then run this back through my die cut machine and emboss it to see if maybe we can get the snowflakes to stay white. And to do that, I've chosen some blue. So we're going to use this. This is Catherine Polar ink. It's a pigment ink, and this is Dress Blues. It's a really pretty navy blue. And I'm going to use a brayer because I don't want the ink to go down into the places. And with the brayer being smooth and flat, I should be able to just go over top of this and not get it down in the indented parts. So let's see what we can do. And then let's take our panel, and it's going to go this way. Okay, and that appears to be a good fit. So let's run this back through the machine. Wait, we don't need the second tab on this. We just need to do it this way. So I guess it's kind of like printmaking in a way. Let's see what we got. Okay, that's very pretty. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to do that again. I'm going to ink up this side again to see if we can get this a little bit darker. So let me set this aside for now. through the die cut machine. See if we can get that background to be a little bit darker. Now remember, this is not a 3D embossing folder. This is just a regular embossing folder. I am just all over the place because this mat is slipping. Okay, that's even better. You know what? Let's go one more time. Let's see if we can get it even a little bit darker. Yeah, this almost kind of reminds me of printmaking in a way. And I kind of want to try the reverse of this. Get it back in the right place again. One last time through the die cut machine. Okay, that's really pretty. And that does work. So if you just have the regular embossing folders, you can do prints like this or do the same technique this way. So let me get this cleaned up and we're going to do something different with the other one. Okay, so now we're going to try the same kind of technique, very similar to the Reverse Emboss Blackout technique. But instead of using a 3D embossing folder, we're going to use just a regular 2D embossing folder. And it's this one. And this one always, every time I see this, it reminds me of a party. It just looks like party streamers and things. So I'm going to do this in party colors. I don't think we're going to use the purple, but I think we're going to go ahead and we'll use these three colors because these two colors together, when they blend, are going to make like an orangish color. And these two colors, when they blend together, are going to make a purple color. So between the three, we'll have 5 colors. And then we will do the print technique using black. So the only difference between this and the Reverse Emboss Blackout is that we're not using the back side that has the debossed. We're actually going to ink on this side where you can actually feel the texture. And then the black ink that we put on it will actually go in between those areas. So we'll try this and see if it works. So we're going to start out with some yellow, and I apparently got some blue on there from before. And I'm just going to randomly ink blend this on here. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to go the whole way down in. Okay, and let's do some party dress. These are Catherine Polar inks. These are pigment inks. And again, that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is one of the times that your ink blending doesn't have to be perfect, and I love it. I'm not the best ink blender, but I try. And the Catherine Polar inks make it really easy too, because they do smooth out a lot once they're dry. So that's helpful. Just going back in with each of the colors and blending them in a little further. And I love that with just 3 colors, we actually ended up with 5. Okay, so I think that'll do. So we'll put these inks to the side. Okay, so now we're going to take our embossing folder. We're going to figure out which way this needs to go in. So probably just like that. Okay. And now we're going to spread black ink over this side. This can get a little bit messy to do it this way. And the Memento Tuxedo black ink seems to be repelling off of the plastic. So we'll just have to see. We might have to do this a couple of times. Get that into place. Maybe once we get the one layer of ink down on the paper, maybe it'll take a little better. Okay, that's pretty. All right, so let's put another layer on here. Kind of makes the colors look neon. As I chase the ink pad all over the place. It's a little tricky to get it in place and then to get the folder closed. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we got. All right, it's not bad. It's a little messy. Definitely a little messy, but you can still see all of the colors through it. So there's another way that we can do this. That's a little different than whenever you ink blend on the back side. And I really do like the way that this one came out. So let me grab the other ones. Okay, so my takeaways on this, trying this method of it, is, using the regular 2D embossing folders does work. You don't need a 3D embossing folder to make this work. I think that these ones might have turned out a little bit better if my ink pad wouldn't have just been freshly re-inked. This is the regular reverse emboss blackout technique, where the areas that are colored in between are actually the areas that are, they're debossed, because this is the side that they're actually embossed on. And then these ones, the colored area on this one and the white area on this one, that's the embossed side sticking up. That's the side where the texture is actually sticking up. And then I treated my embossing folder like it was like a printing plate, where I covered the smooth side in ink and then laid it down. And that way I was able to get the color on the background. And like I said, I think had my black ink pad not been so juicy, I think these might have turned out better. I'm gonna have to try it with one that's not so juicy. But this one is a great example of an ink pad that's not real juicy. We did 2 or 3 layers on this, and I think it turned out really well. We've got some nice bright white snowflakes on here. And again, this is a regular embossing folder. So you don't need a 3D embossing folder to do these techniques. So I encourage you to get out your regular embossing folders and give these a try. And I've got some other ideas that I want to try with these, so I'm sure this isn't the last that we're going to see of this kind of experiment. But for now, just know that you can use your regular embossing folders. You don't need a 3D embossing folder to do this technique. So that's what I've got for you today. Thank you again for joining me. I hope that you learned something new here today. I certainly did. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks.